Hello everyone. Tonight it's time to finally make some progress on something. I want to try using this Mr. Servicer 1000 as a primer on a model that's going to get a lighter color compared to other models I do. I built one of these Sunshine models, St. Louis and San Francisco USRA rebuilds. And here's the finished model. And the scheme that I want to use is the Frisco Fast Freight, which had tan sides and brown roof ends, doors, underframe, some colorful decals. But anyway, I want to put this surfacer on it and mainly just spritz the sides and get a light coat, because I think that'll help the tan paint stick better, or show up a little bit better without using too much to cover the sides. Anyway, let's do that. We must disassemble this a little bit, so I don't need to paint the trucks. I need a flathead screwdriver. This should be good enough. I'll check on the trucks. I'm not sure if they got painted the color of the car body or not. But I don't really need paint on the couplers just yet. My screwdriver's too small. There we go. Wow, had those suckers on there tight. Try not to slip off and tear something up. This model's already been washed and cleaned, so I try not to get her all full of fingerprints and any other debris or fuzz. Now, to paint this, I need to hold it. This is what I have come up with. A coat hanger. Just a cut up coat hanger. Two small brass tubes with a 256 screw soldered on the end. I believe I also use some JB weld to add some more strength to it, because you don't want this breaking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread these into the bottom of the car where the trucks will be just snug. Don't get too crazy. I'm going to put the end of the coat hanger inside these tubes. There. I can hold it. Skewers. Now I can take this to my airbrush booth. Spritzing with Mr. Surfacer. I mainly want to cover these panels on each side of the door. The roof, the sill here, the door, the ends, like I said, they're going to be brown paint. The sides are going to get a lighter tan color. And that's all I'm going to try to cover. Okay, here we are. A cheap Amazon paint booth. As soon as I turn on the fan, I'm going to spritz each side a couple times just to get a light coat on it. All right. Wow, that was the first time I'd ever used that out of a spray can. And it covers really well. Very little back and forth. It took very little spraying to actually cover the model. And I said I was only going to do the sides, but I decided to, as I was doing it, to just hit the ends in the roof and the underbelly, the underframe, just enough to put some gray on it, cover up the brass. And of course I see some small bits of fuzz, some small specks. There, adjusted the light a little bit. You can see how everything, pretty good coverage. There's a little bit of a blemish to the right of the door. There's a few specks in there. I can deal with those. This is a good time to do some inspecting. You'll see more imperfections this way. See how nice the grab irons pop out at you. Have to play with my lighting a little bit more. I think I'm going to leave this as it is. I don't need any more. And with that, I think I'm just going to hang it up for the night, let it dry completely, and we'll make plans to put some color on this thing after I fix the blemishes. Kind of see if I've gotten rid of a few specks here. Just here's one, just a little bump of paint. These dark areas here, I already got rid of them, but this is what I do. And here's my little spatter of paint. Just have a little piece of 600 emery paper, waterproof sandpaper. And I'm just gonna scuff it a little bit. You can feel it as it sands away. Don't get too crazy. Just knock it off so there's no high spot. I'm pretty sure that's paint. Get a little dust off of it. Should be pretty good. I went around, looked at the ladders. Sometimes you get little pieces of fuzz, in the ladders. You have to pluck them out. For whatever reason, the primer did not like the brass grab irons. It didn't stick at all. So I went over them with, try to knock the loose paint off, maybe scuff the metal a little bit, maybe that'll help. But for whatever reason, it didn't like that at all. And I don't really see any more. There's something weird in the casting right here in the rivets. If I left a fingerprint with some super glue, I don't know, I'll have to work on that spot a little bit. But she's getting close, really close to ready for some color. Okay, I worked on this spot a little bit more. And I don't know, I think it's what's left of a fingerprint. I must have had some super glue on my thumb or something. Of course, it left a blemish right on that row of rivets. I think I've got as much of it off as I think I possibly can. Might have to do some creative weathering. I don't know, maybe it'll disappear, but it's not going to fix itself, but I think it's pretty good. You always end up with little pieces of hair and fuzz. Oops. You know, right here. It's a little hair. See that? Try to get those off. Pet hair. All right. Well, I think I'm going to set up my airbrush, shake my paint, and get some color on this thing. This is what I use. Iwata Revolution. I've had it about 15 years. I like it a lot. I won't really get into a whole lot about methods and what I do. There's lots of YouTube videos on using an airbrush. But anyway, I plugged this into a Makita, a little hardware store, or Amazon air compressor. I'm going to try about 15 pounds PSI. This is going to get really loud. I'm going to have a fan going, ventilation going, an air compressor going, the airbrush, you're not going to, I'm just going to try to paint as well as I can. Maybe spray some color on some index cards to knock the rust off of my airbrush here. But anyway, let me get everything ready. These are my two colors for this Frisco. Sorry about that. For this Frisco boxcar. And I know you're always supposed to, or supposedly supposed to, paint light colors first. Well, I don't want to. We're painting the dark color first. This is going to go on the roof, the ends, the underside, the doors, and I'm also going to do the panel lines with just a thin line. I want to play with some weathering tricks using layers. I want to start with a dark color. But anyway, we're going to do this one, and I don't have a lot of it, and Flocal's been out of production for a long time, so I get one shot at this. So it's sort of a chocolate brown. Definitely not as dark as Hershey chocolate, but it's not boxcar red or mineral red or brown, but this is what I'm going to use. And I have some spoons to play with the airbrush, some index cards, a whole bunch of towels. I've already spilled the mineral spirits. So I have my basement door open. I have a fan going. Ventilation is on, and I'm about to turn on the air compressor and the airbrush fan. So hopefully this is entertaining. Okay. Well, it's hard to see because of the light, but the ends, the underframe, the doors, the roof, they are definitely brown. However, the effect I wanted on the sides, I got a little bit sloppy. I wanted to leave the panels mostly light and then just kind of hit the seams and panel lines, but I went overboard a little bit, but this side's not too bad. But when I go to spray the tan, of course I'm gonna have to mask a lot off here, and I missed a spot along this door. I'm gonna have to put in a couple more drops of paint, but I'm gonna only shoot these panels with the tan, and I'm gonna have to mask, you know, the gussets here under the side sill and the roof, and mask the doors. I'm gonna have to practice a little bit because I only want to paint. I want to turn this tan, however, I want a little bit of that darkness to still be under the paint on these panel lines. We'll see if I can do that, but it's gonna get weathered, very weathered, so I can do better. I bet I haven't airbrushed in 10 years. Well, that's not true. Maybe 5. But let me load up and finish this door and get this out into some decent light, and I'm gonna have to soak the airbrush. Couldn't just leave it alone, could I? Well, let's clean this up. You guys don't need to watch me do that. Get some ventilation, some airflow through here. Set it aside for a minute, let it just flash dry quick. All right, here's what I have. It's really dark and it doesn't want to show up. The underframe has color, that's great. I did forget to do the trucks. Lots of little pieces of debris and fuzz. I can knock that off with a stiff brush. But that's what I have so far. Next will be the tan color. Probably let this dry for a few days. Start to mask it. Hopefully I don't pull paint off of the grab irons. So I know this stuff didn't stick worth a darn to any of the metal. So it's going to sit for a while. What do you guys think? This is for the doors, underframe, ends, roof. I had roof brown. See if I can dig up some old footage of painting this car way back in the day. And some more old float quill. That turned out pretty good. It's splotchy on purpose, so this is going to be heavily weathered. And I'll just need to dry for a few days. I haven't airbrushed in a long time, so it's like learning how to use your tools all over again. Here's the car so far. So far it's been primed. It's gotten a coat of brown and this coat of tan that I kind of did splotchy on purpose. And then a coat of clear. And just looking over it, there's a few things that still kind of bother me. Right here, there's a piece of fuzz or cat hair. And I have a couple splotches in the paint, one being about right here. What the heck's going on? Because this is going to be a car that's painted, I think, in 1940 or 41, and I model 53. It's going to have a lot of age, so the paint job's going to be far from perfect. However, I don't need hair stuck to my car. So what I'm going to try to use, I don't even know where I found this thing. It was online. It looks like a mechanical pencil, but it has a thin strip of fiberglass in it. And it's great for kind of scuffing, or you can use it on running boards to kind of rub off a little bit of paint to make it look like weathered wood. But I'm going to try using this on that piece of fuzz. And I need to set this where I can see it. It's visible enough to where it bothers me. I can feel it on the surface. Seems to be coming off. This is going to get many, many layers of paint and weathering, and then clear coats and decals, and then more weathering and clear coats. So I should have no trouble covering anything up. Now I can make that look like a scratch on the side of a boxcar, or a dent. Look for anything else that bothers me. Now what I'm going to do is, because this tannish sand color would not have held up very well over time and through service, it needs to be knocked down a little bit. What I mean is the color needs to have some oxidation, it needs to have some fade on it, it needs to have age. It needs to be 12 or 14 years old. What I'm going to try is, I was looking for some white, but I don't have any, but I grabbed the lightest gray that I have, and it's a gunship gray by Model Master, and some water, a paper towel, and a Q-tip. I might need a brush. What I'm going to do is get that swab wet, dab it in the cover, pick up some paint. See that going on? Use some oils. Especially hit the middle of the panels, because we're going to do a lot of weathering on these rivet lines. That collected a lot of grime. So hit the center of the panels. Get those a little bit extra dirty. You can see it. Now this should dry pretty fast. It's just going to take some of that color. Get some on the lid. Hit another spot. Hit that spot again. Oh, it's way too wet. Like I said, especially the middle of the panel. Hit all of it. Because you wouldn't have fresh paint showing anywhere. Not after a dozen or 13 years. Especially tans and light colors didn't hold up. Here, look at that. And to me it looks best when it's streak it vertically as best you can. I'm just kind of figuring out what I'm doing as I'm going. There, look at that. I have no system. As soon as I think I do, I don't. This is water-based, so don't let that light color pool up too much where you don't want it. So it will be hard to get off later. A little bit's okay, but I'm going to hit the center of the panel again. Boy, it's really hard to get the right amount of water and the right amount of paint. I wish I had some white. I don't want white streaks, I just want it lighter. There. Where the grabs are, that can be tricky. That can be frustrating. So you just put it on heavy. And then it should kind of flow. There. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Time to get back to this model. I've been working on this over the course of several months. And you watched me paint and use a gray wash on this tan color. And today I'm going to start to streak these rivet lines and around the grab iron bolts, along the top, along the bottom, along the edge. Just color that in a little bit. And I'm going to go back to my favorite right now, which is this Tamiya panel line. And this will be the third time I've used it. Third consecutive time I've used it on a model. So next I might try using oil paints or try a different technique. But with this one, I'm going to go back to the brown, dark brown panel line. And after watching videos on YouTube of military modelers, especially the aircraft guys, they put this on really thick and messy. So they just like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Quick and messy. I'm shaking this morning. I had too much coffee. You know, highlight details, get under this panel line right here. Put a bunch along this door. In that photograph I have, it's really dirty, just to the right side of the door. Just a dab. You want it dirty around the rivet, but you want the rivet head to kind of pop out at you. So I really like that right there. And most of this is going to come off, so we're going for the overall effect. And you want to let that dry. Let that dry for a while. You still want to be able to see some tan. And again, we're going to take a lot of that off. And we'll be going back and forth a few times. So I'm going to do the rest of this car, shake this up again. And we're going to let this dry. So, see you in a minute. All right, the paint's still drying, but I realized something. Looking at pictures of the prototype, each panel should have 3 rivets or bolts, leg bolt. I just noticed that in the photograph. There's one in the center of each panel, and then one sort of off center towards the top and the bottom. And I should really have that detail on here. So I need to go back to my Archer rivet sheet, and using small rivets, I think they'll look best. I need 12 on each side, so I'm going to cut out about 30 of these individuals. And I better put these on before I get too carried away with the weathering, because I need those rivets to blend in with the rest of them. So let me do that quick. I'm going to put the wetter, or the setter, I'm sorry. This bottle has a little bit of a milky look to it. So we're going to put that on this side. Okay, let that do its thing. Make sure the car is completely dry. And then we'll see where we're at. See if I'm ready to start taking off some of this panel line. Now, I'm going to wash away a lot of this panel line. There, just like that. Keep dipping the Q-tip onto a paper towel in the clean mineral spirits. Just kind of soak up some of this. Not sure why I'm getting splotches over here. I think I have some decal film over some of the weathering. Do this other side here quick. And decide if I like where I'm at. This is one of many layers. So let me run through this side and try to figure out what comes next. It might be time for start doing some lettering. Here we have the car now. It's been drying for a couple hours. And it is time to start applying decals. With the kit, the Sunshine Kit, this is what we get. There's brown. I started cutting these out before I talked about this, so just pretend I haven't cut them up yet. But each of the three colors, black, red, and brown, are on their own decal sheet. And so you got this little coonskin, you got FFF, you have the Frisco Herald, the round portion of the Herald that says symbol of superior service, the car numbers, the data. I'll cut each of these out. I am not aware of any other decals available for this car. And again, this is what came with the Sunshine Kit. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to go with it. This car is going to get weathered. Again, if it should be black and it's brown, I think I can work with it. I can make that look like black that is now brown. One thing I want to do is on the car, as on the picture, set this over here, picture up in here, there's a stencil. The Reway stencils have been painted over, and on the picture it's dark. So what I think they did is they painted it whatever car color they had later, in late 40s, this one says 1948. So it would have been freight car brown probably. They would have painted all those over and then used a white stencil. And then after that again, it was reweighted, and then there's another paint patch. So what I'm going to use to Smoke Box Graphics decal set. As you see, you can do that right here. Just do that specific thing. And you got different colors. You got the black, you got 3 different shades of boxcar red. You even have a tan if you want to do the tan. This is decal set DF6587, and I'm probably going to use one of these. I'll cut one of these out and we'll make a paint patch. And I also have some Smoke Box Graphics, just some miscellaneous Reway data, and you can see where I've used numbers before. I'll see what's close. I'll go through, well, I'm going to use whatever's in here. Try to find a font that's close. Of course, this is going to get weathered again, and maybe even paint patched a second time. So I'll cut these out, get them in some water, and put some decals on. And here we are so far. You can see I sliced up the car number because I want it to match the car number in the photograph, 128-632. And This brown Frisco lines goes over the top of this red one, and then this symbol of superior service goes over the top this Frisco fast freight. And I'm gonna put some softer on these, let them set. And I'm gonna let these set up completely before I do anything else, because they all need something put over the top of them, so I want it to set up properly. So I'll be cutting these out. Couple more numbers. Find some white data for that paint patch. We'll come back after these decals are set. Time to seal it one more time. Seal in the decals and the little bit of weathering I've done. Here we are with the car after the last clear coat of future floor finish has dried. It's really shiny. It's starting to look pretty good. It just needs a little bit more of some dirt and grime, and then it needs that shine gone. Getting into the Old Faithful here. Pan pastels. Can't go wrong with burnt sienna. I don't know where I got this brush, but it's small, and the bristles are soft, and they're tapered, and you can really work in. I'm just gonna ugly it up a little bit. I'm gonna exaggerate it a lot. Gonna rub it, get some on the brush, rub it into these rivet lines around the ladders. Because it's glossy, it's not gonna, you really have to get her in there. That's part of the fun. And you might just like it this way. You might, heck, leave it alone. Put it on the rails. But just a minute. Get that worked into, just work it in there. I'm pushing pretty hard. I'm not sure how much longer or how much older this car would have gotten with this paint scheme, but I'm pretty sure it was due for a new paint job, and then it would have been Frisco would have painted it just in its regular boxcar red colors. But it's getting pretty crusty now. There. Pulling out of the trash. Use that. Some mineral spirits that I like to keep in a bottle of vitamin water, you know. Yeah, and your favorite brush. Which might be something like that. All I'm going to do is I dipped it in there. I'll see the table here. Oops. It's pretty wet. When I get some of that out, I'm just going to go like this. You can see I'm pulling a lot of that off, but I'm leaving a lot on. I think it looks best when you just go up and down. There. That's all you need to do. Do the other side. Kind of muddies it. Let it dry. Clean out your brush because it's going to get pretty muddy from all that chalk. There we go. Let's let that dry for a minute. It's actually wet. The car's wet. So we're going to pause here and let this dry, then we'll come back. You guys think it's starting to dry? I'm going to let it dry for a while. All right. And here's the car after it's dried. I think it looks pretty good. It's just a little bit shiny, but it's really dirty. All it would need now is just, I don't know, a little bit more dust, you know, highlight the trucks, maybe the roof. Give it a little bit of glare on the roof, do the ends. But I'm happy with how the tan and the streaks turned out. Now all it's missing is another paint patch right here and then a reweigh date. Well, here it is. Just like the photograph I have. I had to splice all those. So I'm happy with it. There she is. An unfinished project finally getting finished. Thanks for watching.